Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have J.R. Vigil on the line, and he's a producer and co-founder over at Lucky Number Productions, and this episode is part of our AFM series, our American Film Market series, where we bring you the best of those that attended and participated in AFM in Century City or Los Angeles, California. JR, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here. Thank you.
All right, so a lot to talk about here, and I like your topic too, networking in the film industry. I definitely want to learn some tips and tricks and what you're up to, and also about your work over at Lucky Number Productions. But just to get us kicked off, AFM, how was your experience? Have you been before, first time? Give me some of the backstory.
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was a great experience last year, even though it was in Vegas. It wasn't as popular for that trip. That would be my first one. But that's where the networking stuff kind of started. It's kind of what called us to create the company because we had such a good day there. We were only there a couple of days. So we created after that. And then this year, the conversations were vastly different, more involved, met different people for different reasons, just steady growth. But all that was made possible through networking from last year to this year. So I get asked that a lot, is like, what is AFM? Like, is anybody buying stuff? And that is a film market. It's primarily their thing to do that. But you make a lot of good connections out there at the bar and in the hallways and then out in the patio. And there's always gatherings after the fact. And those are the things that, if you don't have money to make a film, bring it already completed to AFM. Those are kind of the reasons you go, those and just kind of the talks that they do, the guests that they have, all that stuff. It's just important to be around filmmakers in general. So it was great.
I think that's great. And I think it's also interesting that you bring up like the whole point. Like, if you don't have money, you need to be there. Like you want to, you got to meet other people. You got to, even just to practice pitching your idea and what you work with. I feel like getting outside of your comfort zone and going to meeting and being and breathing that air while other filmmakers are breathing. I feel like all that stuff's important, right?
Absolutely. So when I first went to Los Angeles, a guy told me everybody in LA gets in their bubble. And I feel like the industry is the exact same way. You get comfortable with your ADs that you use. You get comfortable with your writers that your friends are. But the reality of it is that when we connect people through social media, even though if you don't know them personally, you're out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when AFM kind of brings everybody from all reaches and all walks into the same room, and that is invaluable because you don't get many opportunities to be around people from that many backgrounds looking for that many different things. It's usually you have the occasional mixer and stuff like that, and those are good. Those are important. But AFM, even if you don't have anything completed, you need to go if it's around, if you're able to do it. You need to go there because there's people there that are sitting around in between meetings and stuff that you're going to spark up conversations with, and it could be invaluable. And they may not be able to help you like tomorrow or next month, but like in my case, I sat down next to one guy last year, and he said, first year we went, it was one way. This year we went, it was a different way. It's been 3 years now, and vastly different conversations. And I said, wow, that's awesome. So I went out there and I started talking to people, went to these parties, I talked to the people, and I met some good connections. And guess what? A year later, we're working together and we're making a movie. So
wow.
I had no knowledge of these people before, any kind of inclination that I'd ever be in a room with people who own like animation studios or production houses. And now they're wanting to co-produce. And we're moving into that starting in April. But
that's amazing. Congratulations. That's what I like to hear. That's a big success story. I love hearing that stuff. Let's go back in time a little bit here. How'd you get into the industry in general? Like, where'd that start for you? Did you always want to be a filmmaker, or?
Honestly, I was in the military for 13 years, and I worked a finance job for a while. Didn't like that. I went to school for, like, the medical field. I was nurse, PA, med school. I wasn't decided. And I had a personal tragedy that led me to just kind of, sometimes you need to leave and start over. A friend of mine had committed suicide, and so I moved out west just to be out here and kind of forget things for a while, get my head clear. And my goal was just to retire. I was a military veteran, just get an Airstream, live on the beach of Ventura, and just retire. And I stopped in Hollywood, and I got a subleased apartment with some musicians. And so I started hanging out with them. I was like, I'll do this for 6 months, and then I'll move on, right? They talked me into being an actor, and then I got an agent and a manager within a couple months. I started booking some gigs. And then right before COVID, I was like, it kind of sparked the thing, like, yeah, acting's fun, but what does that guy do and what is that guy doing? And that led to me wanting to go to film school over COVID. So during COVID, everything was shut down. I went to film school, graduated, got out, realized that producing is probably more my forte because I have a lot of different connections because of the way that I network. And so I went to UCLA into their master's program and met more people there, actually. And it solidified the thing that networking is the key to this. It absolutely is. Everybody says that, but I don't know if everybody knows what that means.
Yeah.
People that you don't know, but people you will meet in rooms that you're not familiar with. That's the important part. And so that became Lucky Numbers Productions.
Man, that's awesome. What a great story. And I love to see that you're putting yourself out there. And I feel like obviously film is the platform you chose, but you could have did anything with those type of skills and getting out there and networking and like not waiting for it to come to you. Where did that come from in your journey? Just outside of even film, where'd you get that from? Did you always have that?
No, I didn't. I think the military put it into me because you're forced to talk to people from everywhere.
That
you go
makes
to basic
sense. Yeah.
training. You meet people from New York or whatever. I was from Oklahoma City originally, so like I knew things from the Midwest, right? But in the military, you meet a lot of people from the West Coast, East Coast, all walks of life, backgrounds, and you get to the point where you just get comfortable and you travel a lot in the military. And once again, it's important to get outside of your bubble. Take the trip to Chicago if you've never been to Chicago. Go talk to people. Find you a spot. Come to L.A., walk around. Go to New York, walk around for Christmas, something, whatever you got to do. But I think traveling and getting outside of your bubble is the key to that. And my experience early on in the military, I think, is what really brought me into that thing. And honestly, I didn't even realize that until like 2-3 years ago. So like it's not something that you would consciously even know that you're doing. It's like everybody gets nervous in crowds, right, I think. And everybody has a certain like social battery that they can take so much. But it's important to just realize that everybody knows something that you don't. And honestly, when you walk into a room, don't think that it's lukewarm. Like everybody in there is probably doing the same thing. Just talk and be fun. You have nothing to lose walking into a room and saying hi to somebody.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And so let's take it a step further. If you were a new filmmaker and you're going in there, give us some of how you approach this thing as someone looking to raise funds for a film or TV project even. Like how did you approach it?
I initially started approaching it through social media, looking at different people who were doing the jobs that I was doing or that I wanted to do, and seeing kind of the things they were going to. What were they posting? Because that's kind of the key. Like, what are the people that
you were getting some reconnaissance on?
I kind of was. Yeah, I was just looking.
That's a super helpful tip. Most people, I feel like a lot of people don't do that. They're in their bubble, and that bubble, their friend tells them go to an event, so they go to that one. But like, are they actively doing reconnaissance? Maybe not. Continue, please. That's great advice.
Yeah, LinkedIn is great. And then honestly, it took one friend of mine who was a director at the time. He's a writer now. He was directing a movie, and he asked me to be on there as an extra just to hold a machine gun because I look imposing or whatever. But I met one person on that set, said hi to him, was the most polite person I've ever met. And she's a singer, songwriter, actress, DJ. And she had a friend that had a friend that had a friend. So me and Shay, we started hanging out, doing our thing. And then all these years later, she says, hey, can you help me with this? Because she saw what I was doing. She's watching my social media, right? And I said, yeah. Now, that project didn't pan out, and most of them won't. But there was one connection I made on that friend of a friend who had somebody who was throwing a mixer. I went to it. I got invited to it, went to it, met the friend of a friend. He was a great guy, a producer, and he's awesome. But there was 2 or 3 people in that room that I met. One's a writer, one's a financier, one has a distribution house. And all of a sudden, you have all the pieces you need right there. Now you start talking and figuring out, what do I need to do to do business with you? And they ask you, like, are you here? Because everybody wants to know what you have, right? I'm not there yet, but what's your process? And now I know.
Yeah.
As an indie
so you're
filmmaker,
honest
what I
too.
need to
You're
do.
honest and you're up forward too about that. Like, just like, hey, and that's interesting because I feel like people will work with you if they feel like there's somebody that, especially if they feel that you're somebody that can move up and is going to be in the industry long term. In my mind. Yeah.
Let me tell you this. There's so much power in saying I don't know. Everybody thinks that they have to know everything, and honestly, you don't. Everybody started somewhere. The co-production that I'm working on now that started at AFM last year, right? Because that's where it started, at the after party, at the rap party at AFM, very last day. It's one of the only days that I went. Got invited to a party by random chance. Turns out being a guy who did a movie that was already on Netflix and was working on the next one, and he leans into me after me just not trying to sell him anything all night, just hanging out and having fun. I don't know this guy from Adam from like 2 hours before this. He says, hey, if that guy wants to sell you a script and he's got some money like he says he does, bring it to me. I'll give you X amount of dollars to finish it, but we'll do a co-production and I get this and this and this and you get this and this and this. Agreed? Heck yeah, give me your phone number. But I flat out told him right then and there, I don't have anything for you, and I don't even know that guy. So let me figure it out, and I'll call you later this year. So I just kept contact with him, just via email. We haven't talked on the phone. We haven't seen each other in a year. We've just been emailing back and forth. I'm asking him questions. Hey, what would you do in my situation? My situation is this. And I relay that information to him, and he gives me advice. Now, can I always do it? No. But you know what? I try. I go back and look, and I network like crazy, and I figure out, what is this guy telling me to get, and who is it that I have around me that has that? Are they following me on social media? You know what I mean? Like, you have to exhaust your network, and your network is always bigger than you think it is. Yeah. And I'm proof of that, because here we are now talking to you about this stuff, and then we're getting ready to move into something else. But we actually have 2 features planned for next year now. So it's actually more than one. Like, we've actually turned this into 2 features just using phone calls and emails.
Wow.
And it's like the greatest thing in the world. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I like it because it's just true testament to what happens when you get out there. You put yourself out there and you just continue and you don't quit and you work on making something happen, even if you don't exactly know how it's going to happen, but to see it work. So that's awesome. And to get to that next day, that's gratifying. So JR, we're in, for everybody listening, we're in December, mid-December recording this thing. And I'm just curious, what's next for you? What's next as you go into the new year? What's on your mind?
Honestly, all this is hitting all at once. I'm actually getting married in February. So
man, congratulations. Come on. That's
Thank
awesome.
You. Yeah, during all this stuff network, I actually met my fiance. So this thing took 7 years to go, right? This is a long road coming. So now we're working on scheduling. We're probably going to be shooting a feature in Oklahoma City come April. And then shortly after June, we'll be wrapping that up. The wedding's in February, so we go from the wedding or Christmas to the wedding to April in OKC, shooting, finishing up post in June. And then we're rolling into the next feature, and then we also have a TV show that we're in talks with some people to develop that takes place in Germany. So we actually might be opening up a leg of Lucky Numbers Productions overseas as well. It's a big year.
Fantastic. That is a big year. Fantastic. Well, JR, if somebody's a listener watching this, and if they want to follow up, they want to learn more about Lucky Number Productions or to continue to follow your work and your journey, how do they do that?
I think the easiest way would be to go to www.luckynumbermedia.com. All the links to the socials and even a portal to get a hold of me directly via email is there. So you can go to our company website. That's luckynumbermedia.com.
Fantastic. For everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so you can just click on the links and head right on over and check out JR. Speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters, this is a daily show. Yes, you heard that correctly. Daily. Each and every day we're releasing new episodes, new content, hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit subscribe because we have many, many, many great interviews planned ahead and we don't want you to miss a thing. And JR, man, I look forward to continuing to watch your journey and watch your work, and thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch, man. Thank you.